Okay, looks like we are live here. Just going to let a couple people hop in. As you're hopping in, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from, all that good stuff. We're just going to be looking over this next storm that is moving into the region here. Okay, I'm just going to make sure everything's fired up and going good here real fast. All right, people hopping into the chat. Go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. Also, let me know what the conditions are like, where you are, all of that good stuff. I'm just going to let a few more people jump in, and then I'll get started talking about this live stream. Also, let me know how the audio is and everything, and then we'll start talking about this. Just looking at the alerts currently in the region. And once I see a few more people have hopped in, I'll start doing this weather update. All right, more and more people hopping in. Let me know where you're watching from. Also, go ahead and hit that like button as you're hopping in. That'll help get this live stream out to more people faster. Gotta share this link real fast on my Facebook post. And then we'll get started here. All right, we are not slowing down with this rain that's moving into the region. Okay, Puget Sound Stormwatch. Moderators hopping in, great. Hi, Sonia. Hi, Rooster Jim. Member. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and start talking about what is happening here. And as you're hopping in, make sure and hit that like button. That'll help get this stream out to more people. So here is looking at the current satellite imagery of this next system moving into our area, our next atmospheric river. This one is like a classic Pineapple Express. You can see Hawaii down there, streaming moisture up into the region. We can pop on the true color here. You can see the sun rising across the region just barely, so that's why we're looking at the infrared version there. But we have quite a few alerts up for Washington State right now. As you can see, we've got winter weather advisories up in the mountains. Also a special weather statement that's for landslides. We've got wind advisory up. And actually, I'm going to refresh this real quick so that we are looking at the most recent data here. Okay, hang on here just for a second, folks. Got to add on wind advisory. There we go. There we go. I was showing the old stuff. Didn't want that. So we got a whole bunch of stuff happening here in the state. Look at this. Wind advisory, flood warnings, flood watch, and wind advisory down there. And now that we have more people in the chat, I'm just going to start over with this here. So here is looking at the satellite imagery. Got a classic atmospheric river, Pineapple Express, coming up towards the Pacific Northwest. This is going to be particularly affecting South Washington and mostly down there in North Oregon. And there are still some flood warnings up, but thankfully, if we were to take a quick look at some of our area rivers like the Skagit River here, it's actually on its way down. So Skagit River is on its way down. The Snohomish River is on its way down. But there are still some other rivers like the White River that are going to be on their way up. And I think that may be because of dam release, water release, and stuff like that. But yeah, we've got a wind advisory up for Whatcom County, West Whatcom County up there, and the islands, the San Juan Islands, Whidbey Island, Skagit County, West Skagit County, and far northwest Snohomish County. And then we got a flood watch. This flood watch right here is going to expire tomorrow. Also a flood watch out there on the eastern slopes of the Cascades, kind of by Cleome, expires tomorrow. But then this flood watch down here in South Washington expires in 2 days. And this is primarily where the heaviest rainfall is going to be falling, down there in southwest Washington. Looking at the radar imagery right now, you can really see this rain with the atmospheric river just beginning to pile up there. And it's actually falling in the form of snow up in the mountains. You can see this precipitation depiction here on weather-wise, falling as rain in the lowlands, snow in the mountains. And go down to the Portland radar here. You can see that depiction as well. But there is going to be a surge of warmer air coming up into the area today, and that's going to raise the snow levels for much of South Washington especially. Sheila says it's snowing in the Colville area. Right on. And right now it's also snowing up at Snoqualmie Pass. You can see there's a little bit of snow on the side of the roads. It doesn't really look like it's affecting travel all that much up there right now, which is good. But one of the main things going on in Washington State today is it is going to get windy again. As I mentioned, we have wind advisories up for West Whatcom, the San Juan Islands, up there by Anacortes, Whidbey Island, Camino Island, West Skagit, and Northwest Snohomish County. And if we pop on to this wind advisory and read the language here, it's for all those areas I just mentioned. Wind advisory remains in effect until 11 p.m., so it's actively in effect right now. And this is looking at the one, yep, this is for the whole entire area up here. South winds 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts 50 to 55 miles per hour. Ware Island County, lowlands of western Skagit, northwestern Snohomish counties, lowlands of western Whatcom County, and San Juan County until 11 p.m. tonight. Gusty winds could blow unsecured objects, trees, etc. But this wind advisory, they're calling for south winds, and there is definitely going to be south winds, but something I want to highlight is there is also going to be another surge of west wind. It's not going to be as strong as the one that we just had a couple days ago, but it's still going to be noticeable. And I may actually do a live stream storm chase of it later. So here's looking at the European model. And so this is early this morning, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So here's where we are right about here. And it shows that it's starting to pick up there in the San Juan Islands, and we can verify that right now by hopping over to weather.gov, current conditions. And sure enough, it is picking up, and I'm actually going to make these things bigger for you, and I'm going to turn off the temperature because nobody cares about that right now. All right, so we can see the wind direction on these wind barbs, and each one of these long barbs represents 10 knots. And then each one of those shorter barbs represents 5 knots, okay? So out here, for example, by Kelp Reefs, just to the west of Samish Island, it's sustained at 30 knots, gusting to 40 miles per hour right now. Down there on, sorry, I said Samish Island, didn't I? That's embarrassing. San Juan Island, I mean. Friday Harbor Airport, it's currently sustained, it looks like at 25 knots, gusting to 41 miles per hour. And not too much crazy stuff going on out here in West Snohomish County yet, but it is gusting already to 44 miles per hour up there on Whidbey Island. And it looks like they had a max wind gust of 51 miles per hour. So it's going to continue to get windy throughout the day. And yeah, they've had plenty of wind this morning already, and it's going to continue to be windy. But if we look at the European model here, so this is now 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon, 1, 2, starts picking up for more of the region here. And so 30 miles per hour for Everett, 33 for Seattle by about that time. A little stronger down there by Tacoma, but this is not too crazy looking on the models here. but it does bring a little bit stronger wind gusts through the Seattle region by about 3 p.m. Yeah, about 44 miles per hour maybe. And then that's 4 p.m. right there, still gusting to about 40, maybe just over 40 for the Seattle region and Everett. And then it starts to go down. But then notice this coming out of the west. We have the markings of another westerly surge here. If we were to pop on wind speed, you can see which direction this is coming out of. So this is the sustained wind speed. So by about 4 p.m. there, 5 p.m. By 5 p.m., looks like it's going to be starting to rake the Anacortes region. And it's going to be having wind gusts, according to the European model, at least up to 44 miles per hour. So the wind advisory, it's calling for only southerly wind, but it is going to switch out of the west later. Yeah, so affecting areas like Fidalgo Island, the San Juan Islands, and North Whidbey Island. And then it looks like it gets even stronger as we head into the night. So this is 8 p.m. right here. More 50 mile per hour plus wind gusts. Like it looks like 55 miles per hour right down there by about Coupeville to Fort Casey, Keystone on the European model. And it also does bring some of these westerly winds further east into places like West Skagit County and across Camino Island again and northwest Snohomish County. So, I mean, if you're still dealing with the cleanup from the westerly surge that we just had, there's probably a little bit more cleanup that's going to have to happen because, yeah, this westerly surge is not going to be as strong as the one that we just had, but it is going to be noticeable again. And if we look at the HRRR model here, I'm going to make sure that we're looking at the most recent model run. Okay. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, noon, 11, 10. All right. So 18Z up there, that's 10 a.m. our time right now. And it's showing about what's happening up there in the San Juan Islands, gusting to the low 40s. And then 10, 11, noon, slightly stronger gusts start happening up there in the San Juan Islands. 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. And that starts bringing some stronger wind gusts down there a little bit, down there by Federal Way, Tacoma, Seattle, up towards the upper 30s, low 40s. And then by the time we get to 5 p.m. is when it starts bringing some mid 40 mile per hour gusts to places like SeaTac, Seattle, etc. I'm going to pop this to a slightly older model so we can go further than this. 6 p.m. And then you also start seeing, here's the westerly surge that's showing up, blowing pretty hard into the San Juan Islands there. It shows possibly bringing some like 55 mile per hour gusts, 50 to 55 mile per hour gusts for the San Juan Islands. 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And so 7 p.m., it has about 58 miles per hour over there by the Strait of Juan de Fuca. And then it does bring it again further to the east into northwest Snohomish County. It's not showing as strong as what we had the other day, but still, I don't think any westerly surge wind is going to be welcome right now. But if you live up in the Arlington Heights area, Cedar Vale Loop, Bryant, Stanwood, Camino, Warm Beach, out there on the Tulalip Reservation, you guys will be probably feeling some wind gusts later tonight again. This is looking at about 8 p.m. right here, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And if we were to look at one other model here, the NAM 3KM. Okay, so here's right about where we are, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon, Wind starts picking up down there in the southwest Washington coast. It's 1, 2. And one thing I've noticed is the NAM3CAM has stronger winds down by Seattle, and it probably is overdoing this, would be my guess. But this is looking at about 3 p.m. and it shows like 50 to 55 mile per hour gusts down there by Seattle, but I think it might be overdoing it. But who knows? We'll have to keep an eye on that. 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and then it also has the westerly surge, but a little bit weaker than what the HER was showing, but still it has that westerly surge. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'm going to take a quick look at the comments here, and then I'll continue on through this. Flood cleanup. I don't know how active flood cleanup is down there in Auburn, Tukwila area just yet. Pacific, because I think there's still floodwaters. Yeah, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please make sure and hit that like button. This channel is primarily going to be for storm chase live streams, and I'm working on improving the quality of my storm chase live streams. Actually just purchased a Starlink last night. I'm going to get that mounted on the vehicle and head out there and do some network bonded live streams. So hopefully the stream will drop less often. All right, Blue Lazarus says the Pacific levee is repaired and water is being pumped from neighborhoods, but another deluge is expected and dam release ongoing. Yeah, let's take a quick look at the White River. I was looking at that this morning. It's a little bit concerning. Actually, very concerning what I was seeing. Wind advisory expanded to include. Okay, so Puget Sound Stormwatch just commented. Wind advisory was expanded to include Seattle, Bellevue, North King County, Foothills, and Eastern Kitsap County. Max wind gust boosted to 50 miles per hour for the Puget Sound area. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at that. We'll refresh this map right here and see if it shows up. Not yet. Okay, so it must be a brand new advisory. Okay, look at that. So yeah, we have a new wind advisory just issued by the National Weather Service in Seattle. Be nice if it would pop up over here. Maybe if I try doing one more thing here. That's good to know that it won't pop up right away on this. Software that I'm using here. I'm going to turn off all the hydro right here. Head over to the wind and just have wind on. Refresh it one more time. Still okay. We're just going to check back with that in a bit. So, looking at the most recent wind advisory, they just filled in the whole area. Decided to start this live stream at an interesting time, it seems. And clicking on it, yeah, so new wind advisory includes Marysville, Lake Stevens, Everett, Kingsgate, Eastgate, Linwood, Silverdale, Bremerton, Richmond Highlands. You guys can read. Wind advisory in effect from noon today to 7 p.m. South winds 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts of 45 to 50 expected. Where East Kitsap County, City of Seattle, downtown Everett, Marysville area, east side, foothills, valleys of Central King County, shoreline, Linwood, South Everett. So a few power outages. What time is the Seahawks game? Someone want to tell me what time the Seahawks game is? I'll be honest, I've been so busy this season. You're probably going to think I'm crazy, but I have not watched a single Seahawks game. Derek says they have snow and 36 mile per hour wind with gusts up to 60 there in North Dakota where he's watching from. Wow. That's cool that you're watching all the way from North Dakota, Derek. Thanks for watching the channel here in Washington State so much. Okay, so yeah, taking a look at the wind one more time. So they must have been paying attention to this NAM3KM, and I bet you they issued that wind advisory just in case this thing verifies. Let's see if we got some updated. Yeah, it looks like we got some brand new European data that's running right now. European still has lesser extent of wind, maybe peak of 40 miles per hour down there in Seattle, but it does show this westerly surge still, and I think it's actually stronger. Yeah, it's stronger with the westerly surge than it was on the previous run now. The previous run is the run here on the right. It's now showing about 52, 55 mile per hour gusts up there on North Whidbey Island, up there by Oak Harbor and Cape Disappointment. And then it brings it east into West Skagit County and West Snohomish County again. Yeah. Looking at the comments again. Let's see if it refreshed on this thing. That was kind of annoying. Still hasn't refreshed. Wow. Okay, well, that's good to know. I don't like that. Don't like that. All right, looking at rain totals real quick after we go over this. So this right here is a special weather statement that's been issued by the National Weather Service in Seattle for a whole bunch of areas. You guys can just look at this. It's pretty much their whole entire forecast area of Western Washington here. And what this is specifically for is landslide risk. So heavy rainfall will lead to an increased threat of landslides. Significant rainfall for the last week has increased soil moisture to high levels across Western Washington. Additional rainfall of 1 to 2 inches is expected through Friday. This amount of rain will continue to put extra pressure on soil instability. And numerous landslides have already occurred. Whatcom, Skagit, King counties, and Snohomish counties, and other counties. Most areas most susceptible to landslides and debris flows under these conditions are steep coastal bluffs, other steep hillsides, or road cuts. And yeah, so let's see if I can find a helpful graphic here for you guys. If you guys live in like a valley or river valley or something, should definitely just be cautious and watching for any signs. Here we go. This looks like a helpful graphic right here. I'm going to drag this over. Of course, it's like the lowest quality possible. Here we go. That's slightly bigger. We'll visit this website and I'll drag this over. And here we go. All right. Okay. Come on. There. Oh, goodness gracious me. Having some technical difficulties here. Just trying to drag a graphic over for you guys. But basically, if I'm not able to get this done here, just be watching for tilting trees on a hillside or on slopes and formation of cracks in like the hill or the yard, or sudden difficulty opening or closing doors in your house. Like if your house starts to just feel like it's behaving strange, like it might be getting out of alignment, and then sagging of utility lines and leaking or broken pipes. Actually, I have an idea. I'm just going to screenshot this, and then I can drag this right there. Boom. I figured it out. My brain decided to work. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about right here. Tilting of trees, especially evergreens on slopes. And you can kind of see what they're looking at here. Formation of cracks in yards, driveway, foundation. Sudden difficulty opening or closing doors or windows. Sagging utility lines and leaking or broken water pipes. Just be watching for those things if you live on a hill or near a hill. And it's a serious thing because, I mean, we live in an area that has a history of landslides. And I mean, the Oso landslide was the largest landslide in the lower continental 48 other than the Mount St. Helens landslide. And the Oso landslide was crazy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you guys a quick picture of the Oso landslide here. This is credit to the Seattle Times, but that's what the Oso landslide looked like. And it had all the warning signs, and there was a neighborhood right down here that just got decimated. So, hoping we don't have an Oso level landslide. Yeah, it killed 43 people and destroyed 49 homes. Up on the Mountain Loop Highway, I don't know if any of you guys have ever gone up there, but if you drive up the Mountain Loop Highway, there is actually a landslide on the north side of the South Fork of the Still-Squamish River that almost looks like an Oso level slide, except for it happened in a relatively unpopulated area. But the county has done quite a bit of mitigation work. Yeah, so that landslide did not just occur, by the way. That landslide, the Oso landslide, was in 2014. But it's just interesting to see what can happen around here. Okay, folks. Yeah, so I'm probably going to do some storm chasing later today. Here's the level of the rain that is expected over the next 48 hours right there. A lot of rain, especially for South Washington. And there is a certain amount of rivers that are expected to flood again. The White River is an interesting case. I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing more water release out of the dam because look at this. When I was covering that levee break, I'm going to click this onto the full page here. Actually, no. So the levee break was on the White River down there by Pacific. And I believe that occurred on Monday night into Tuesday, right in here. So this is right about when the levee broke on the White River. And then we've been down. We went down to the action stage, and then we went back up into minor stage. But look at this. There's going to be a steady increase in release, and they're expecting the White River to get up towards moderate again. And so we're going to have to be watching those levees because it's going to get up towards the level where it was because they need to release that water. But the most flooding that's occurring looks like the Cowlitz River is that little dot right there is actually incorrect. That's interesting. Yeah, there's an error. Okay. Yeah, there's an error happening on the gauge down there at the Cowlitz River. But the most major flooding that's going to be occurring with this next atmospheric river is going to be down there in northwest Oregon. And I'm sure there's going to be some tributaries in here that we don't see and stuff that are going to be flooding in South Washington. But yeah, so I'm going to be planning on later this afternoon and in the evening doing a storm chase specifically for this west surge. I might head up towards Whidbey Island or something and do a live stream for this, or just west Skagit County or something. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'm going to look over your comments real quick. Yes, Debbie Nelson, we are getting yet another storm, and if we do a back out look here of the European, let's go ahead and go to Oceanic and Northwest. Yep, that's the Atlantic. There we go. So here's a wider look of things. So here's today's storm right here. And you can see it has a pretty deep surface low that's going to happen up to our north. And that's deepening as it goes in. That's going to enhance that westerly surge as it moves off. And then good snows for the mountains. And then we get the formation of another storm heading into Sunday, Monday. Good mountain snows with this coming up. And then look at that. Another system starts developing midweek. That could be another potential windstorm if things work out right around Christmas Eve. And then we're starting to get pretty far out there. But it stays active. I mean, things are not slowing down. Nobody stops this train. Should I start doing my weather updates with a voice like this? Extra intense. Washington weather chasers. I couldn't do it. I couldn't take myself seriously. Anyways, I'm going to look through your comments here. Sorry, I've been neglecting the chat. Yeah, plateau weather. I was refreshing weather-wise, and it's just not refreshing. Yeah, maybe I need to actually like download it onto my computer or something. Launch browser app. Download for Mac. All right, I'll just download this thing and see if that makes a difference. Okay, logging in. True Lil Rita. I use the Mavic. Sorry, not the Mavic. I use the DJI 5 Mini Pro. It's actually a pretty, for being such a small drone with that 1-inch sensor, is a workhorse. Okay, so I'm on the WeatherWise app now. Let's see if this is better. Settings. I got to rework all the settings here. Okay, I'm going to just hit the wind advisory, turn up the opacity. Oh, it's okay. So the app works better than the browser. That's annoying. but noted. Yeah, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. So the annoying thing about this is I'll just have to have this be a separate window on Open Broadcaster System. So let me do that real quick so I can show you guys what I'm looking at here. I have to make a new capture. All right, capture weatherwise. And that is going to be right there. And then I need to head to properties. How's everybody doing? Yeah, I'm just going to do this later. It's taking a little too much work. Doing too many things at once. So yeah, guys, more active weather coming in. If you're just hopping in, there's a new wind advisory for pretty much all of Western Washington here. All right, folks, I am going to need to head off to do some more stuff here. Oh, crap. Sorry, guys. Obviously, I need to work out my my stuff here. Yeah, new wind advisory. All right, and I got this now. Here we go. Got weatherwise up. That's better. All right, how's that look to you guys on your end? Just organizing things now. And there I am. Okay. Boom. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to just make this so that it's showing things the way I want here real fast. I'm going to turn off all of these things real fast. Turn off Winter Storm Watch, turn off Winter Weather Advisory. I'm going to turn off the hydro stuff and the flood watch. I am going to turn off the special weather statement. All right, there we go. All right, so there is the areas. that the wind advisory is up for right now. So you can see the wide view. We got wind advisories up for much of western Washington, maybe excluding the east Puget Sound lowlands for Snohomish County north, and also Duval is not included in this. This is pretty nice. Wow. Look at that detail. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and pan across all the areas that are in wind advisories here. So Castle Rock, Windlock, Napavine, Chehalis, Centralia. Out here, the far southwest Washington coast. Looks like it might not be. But up there by Westport, Grayland, Ocean City, Quinault Village, La Push, Nia Bay, Tumwater, Olympia, Shelton, Lacey, DuPont, Spanaway, Eatonville, Graham, Enumclaw, Bonnie Lake, all these areas, Federal Way, University Place, Gig Harbor, Port Orchard, Bremerton, SeaTac, Renton, North Bend, Snoqualmie, Fall City, Sammamish, Kirkland, Redmond, Mercer Island, Silverdale, Paulsbo. If you live out there in Brennan, Quilcene, you are not included in this. There's someone that follows my page that lives, I think, in Blinn, and they're always like, it's windy. And I think that's a very windy spot that probably deserves more wind advisories more often. Yeah, they probably could have had the wind advisory be out here by like Hansville and things, but West Snohomish County, that's including the town of Lake Stevens, Snohomish, Marysville. But I think that westerly surge later, that is probably going to affect this area right in here. So like Arlington Heights. And looks like they got Bryant included, but also up here by like Cedarvale Loop and those areas. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this off. Boom. That's nice. I'll just need to remember to turn on weather-wise when I'm looking at that. Okay, folks. So check back later for a storm chase live stream. And I will talk with you guys later. Actually, I'm going to check your comments first, and then I'll check with you guys back later. All right, I think we're good. Thanks, everyone, for hopping on. Don't forget to subscribe, all those things, and I'll talk to you later.